Collecting vinyl records is a very rewarding hobby, but it is also a little expensive and cumbersome. It takes up a lot of space in your home. There are some downsides, but there are ways to mitigate those downsides. I'm talking about culling the collection. When it comes to purging your collection that you've worked so hard to build, there are different philosophies that go into it. Now, in my mind, this is the trajectory of just about every collector as they go from a newbie in the hobby to a more serious collector. They start off by buying whatever records they can. Usually they'll go to thrift stores or try to get some dollar bin stuff and just start building their collection based on either albums they've heard of that they see for a good price or albums that they already know they love. Eventually, as you realize, oh, I filled up my shelf, I have to get another shelf, you start to become a little pickier, and as you continue to fill shelves, you get more and more picky with what you decide to add to your collection. And then eventually, you still have the bug to collect more records, but you've run out of either space or money or both. At that point, you need to cull. When you start collecting, at the beginning, I don't think purging is necessary. I think an amazing aspect of this hobby is discovering albums based on a recommendation or even just a whim, like the cover spoke to you and you thought it was cool and you wanted to discover what it was about. I found albums that I love over the years through that very method. It's all part of the journey. That being said, if you continue collecting and you become a little bit more serious about the hobby, you will eventually need to trim your collection down. You know, it's important to keep your collection lean and mean, so you want it to be all killer, no filler, which is my philosophy about collecting. And, you know, you don't want to have records just everywhere, just that you don't even know why you own so many. I'm getting there, but at least I think that I've done a good job of keeping it mean, if not lean. Like, the most possible records you can own to your budget and to your space without bloat is basically what I'm trying to say. So you keep in mind your funds and you keep in mind your space, but then you also have to factor in how much time you have to listen to records. I've talked about this in previous videos where I view my collection as something I'll hopefully take with me throughout most of my life. So I have a lifetime to listen to those records that I choose to keep in my collection. That's one philosophy. But there comes a time when you decide that you need to sell or trade some records, and sometimes it's because you need money for other reasons. Sometimes it's because you were out of space, and sometimes it's because you just want to buy different records. As humans, our tastes are constantly evolving and changing. There are bands that I used to love and worship, and I don't even listen to them anymore. It's kind of an ebb and flow of music taste, and there are some things that I've loved since high school and will continue to love for the rest of my life. It's just, you really have no way of predicting that. As you're in it, you have to wait to kind of reflect on it. So something that you may love at one point, a year from then, you may not be as into. And let's say that record you bought for $20 is now worth $100 in the aftermarket. So you have to ask yourself, do you love that album $100 worth? Or would you rather sell that and put that into 3, maybe even 4 albums that you're really into right then to help build your collection? The misconception about this channel that I try to clear up is that I'm just some like rich guy that has a ton of disposable income and I just buy records. That is categorically untrue. I have had a full-time marketing job of some kind since I began this channel, and I also do a lot of culling. I take the time to look at my collection, see what has appreciated over time, and then make decisions as to whether or not I want to keep it or sell it to purchase more records. I think this is a financially intelligent way to kind of look at collecting. It's a good way to not be overwhelmed by any of those factors I mentioned before, whether it's space or financial limitations. But there is a set of criteria that I use to look at whether or not I want to keep a record in my collection. And worth mentioning is that now that I'm about to be a record store owner, it's a very appealing idea to be able to take records from my collection on a regular basis and add them to the store to have really cool things that I believe in because they were part of my collection and I can be passionate about and speak to if someone expresses interest in the store, but also helping keep the store fresh with like kind of unique things that you wouldn't always see at your average record store. So that's definitely going to be a factor in addition to the criteria I'm about to talk about. But here are my criteria for whether or not to keep a record or not. Most importantly, I would love for you to leave a comment with your view on culling your own collection, how often you do it, your philosophy about it. I think this is super fascinating, and I think every collector has somewhat of a different thought process when it comes to it. You know, a lot of you will probably agree with me, some of you will probably not. Leave a comment, let me know. So to keep an album in my collection, I look at these 4 criteria. Number 1, these are albums that I will spin at any time because I love them front to back. There isn't a skip on the album. I think that they are 9 or 10 out of 10 in terms of quality, and most of the time I'd be in the mood for them. These are probably considered my favorite records, and they comprise a lot of my collection. You know, I built attachment over the years to so many albums front to back. It's what I love about vinyl as a listening medium is you really build attachment to the album as opposed to just singles. So if I have an album like that, that's something I can just throw on at any time, I'm likely to want to keep it in the collection. Number 2 are irreplaceable albums. Numbered records that are special to me. Signed records, whether I got them signed in person or not. Test pressings. Sentimental records, maybe they were given to me by someone important. Things like that makes it hard for me to want to give something away because those have attachment beyond just their physical presence in my collection and their monetary value. There's something a little more special to them. Number 3 are albums that are unlikely to ever get a repress. And this could be for a multitude of reasons. It could be because the band broke up. It can be because the rights have been lost in some kind of corporate deal. The label could be defunct, or the original tapes could be lost, and therefore only a digital master can exist moving forward, which may not be the optimal way to listen to that album on vinyl. And 4, and maybe the most important one, is albums that sound significantly better on vinyl. That for me is the main reason I love the listening portion of this hobby, is because when you find an album that's mastered for vinyl, whether it's analog or digital, and it sounds better than its counterpart, that is a unique experience that you can only get through your setup and through your gear to be able to have that sonic experience. You can't replicate that with streaming or any other form of media. So that is a reason to keep something in your collection too. If it sounds different and or better, ideally both, that is like probably a paramount reason to keep a record in the collection. So right now I thought it could be fun, and I have not planned for this. I have not set these records in any order. I don't know what we're gonna see. I thought we can go over to one of my cubes of to listen to records that I have purchased but haven't had a chance to put on the turntable yet. And oftentimes, you know, you purchase a record because you might be afraid it's gonna sell out and you may end up falling in love with it and not wanting to regret it. Other times you purchase a record and just haven't gotten around to listening to it. And sometimes you bought something and you're like, why did I get this? And you really can't even remember, especially with these long lead times. Sometimes a record will come in, I'll be like, I bought this? All right, let's test my knowledge of my own collection and see what I have. Again, I have not looked at these before this video, so I guess we'll see what happens. This is John Frusciante's The Empyrean. I actually, as much as I love Frusciante, I don't know this record very well, so I should probably listen to it, but I love most of his stuff, so I feel like this is probably a keep. He's one of my favorite guitarists. This is Studio Ghibli, Spirited Away. I forget if this is like the reorchestration one or if it's the one that is the original score. One of my favorite movies. I'd probably want to keep this. The music is pretty fantastic. Stars of the Lid, The Tired Sounds of Stars of the Lid. This is a really, really great ambient record. Modern classical, maybe, if you want to call it that. So I think I would want to keep this as well. They're one of my favorite groups of this type of music. Just haven't had a chance to spin it yet. Funky DL, Life After Denison. So Funky DL is he's a rapper that's worked with Nujabes a lot. I actually don't know this record. I think I picked it up because it was pretty inexpensive at a store. I'll probably have to listen to it to know if I want to keep it. I think he has a really unique flow and voice as an MC, and I'd probably want to keep it, but I should probably listen to it first. Ooh, this is a 3-disc comp of Ulrich Schnaus, Faraway Trains Passing By. Definitely keeping this. One of my favorite electronic musicians, without a doubt, and this is like a deluxe version of my second favorite of his albums. Cookin' Soul, whatever, really, really good hip-hop beat maker. You know, he does a lot of stuff on crates, and everything he's done is pretty fantastic, so I'll probably keep this as well. Not off to a great start for the culling, are we, folks? The Hawaii 94 Evolve. This is some kind of vaporwave record. I probably would put this in the store. I don't remember what this sounds like. I'll give it one more listen, but Valencia, We All Need a Reason to Believe. This is a pop-punk record. I got this because I kind of got swept up in the hype of the release of this. I actually don't know this record that well. I had a friend who was really into it back in high school, I think. But I'll probably have to give this one like a digital listen, and if I don't love it, I'd throw it in the store. Stereolab, Margarine Eclipse Expanded Edition. It's funny, I love some Stereolab, and I think this is one of their albums that I'm not super familiar with. So I'd have to probably listen, but I got like the clear Obi stripped version. You know, there are some other things that, you know, I love Dots and Loops. I love Emperor Tomato Ketchup. I think I love this one too. I don't really like Transient Noise Bursts and the Cobra one. Like, so I don't know. I have to give this one another listen to see. Another Cookin' Soul, same vibe there. This is The Last of Us Part 2. One of my favorite game series. Kind of sparse guitar work, really kind of like mesmerizing. So I probably want to keep that too. It's a Mondo pressing. It's pretty dope. How to Dress Well. Really good kind of minimal R&B from Tom Krell. It's signed by him, which is cool. It's probably why I picked it up. Looks like I got it at Amoeba for $10, which is pretty low. So I don't know this album of his though. I like a lot of his stuff. I don't know if this is like a necessary album. This could be something cool for the store. I mean, it's signed if someone's a big fan of Tom. That's awesome. Instrumental music by Wolf Miller and Nicholas Want. I actually don't even know what this is. This is probably some kind of experimental or ambient. I'd probably put that in the store. Divine Beats by the Wizard of Loneliness. Shout out to Colin. Big fan of his music. This is definitely like a Zelda-inspired lo-fi tape. Would want to keep this. I like a lot of his stuff, so want to keep it. Slow Attack Ensemble Delay Music. Again, another kind of ambient record that I picked up on a recommendation. Do I know it? Probably not. I might put it in the store. We'll see. Infected Mushroom. This is BP Empire. You can't tell because there's a sticker sheet in front of it, but this is kind of like, I think they're Israeli, and it's a psytrance band, kind of like Spangle, but I don't like them as much as Spangle. So I may sell this. I feel like I always try to tell myself I'd like Infected Mushroom more than I actually do when I listen to them, so this might end up being a store thing. This record got very rare, very fast. This is Frou, whatever you want to call it, Details. This is an amazing record. It's the girl from Imogen Heap. Definitely want to keep this, even though this is very valuable. It's worth over $100 now. It's the red variant. We have Soundgarden, limited edition colored vinyl. This is their final album together as a band. I actually don't love this album more than their other records. I don't know if this is a necessity, despite how much I love Cornell. Limited version might go in the store. Les Indices, which is lo-fi hip hop from Chill Hop. I like this. I like all the stuff that Les Indices has done, but I don't think I need it in my collection. I have a lot of lo-fi hip hop. I have to be a little more selective when it comes to that stuff. This is Robo Hands Shape. Speaking of lo-fi hip hop, that is great. This is from King Underground, a label I really love, and this is like a very good jazzy kind of lo-fi hip hop tape. Not that lo-fi actually. It has a good production to it. It's called Shapes. It's very good. Definitely gonna keep that. We have Gorilla Manor by Local Natives, one of my favorite indie rock records from my youth. Definitely nostalgic and definitely something that I would spin. So excited for that. That was a Vinyl Me Please thing, I believe. This is Caroline Shaw, Partita for 8 Voices. This is something in concept I like more than in practicality. I was convinced myself I needed to track it down, and I did because it was sold out and kind of hard to find. I found it for a good price. It's kind of like a vocal album that's just like very experimental. There's no instruments as far as I remember. Caroline Shaw has worked with Kanye in a bunch of his projects in the middle of his career. I think she has a great voice, but this project is probably not something I would spin, so this might be a cool thing to put in the store as well. Adrian Lekman, Songs and Instrumentals. Apparently this pressing sounds phenomenal. I'll probably give it one spin just to see if it connects with me. I like Adrian's stuff more than her stuff in Big Thief. Abyss Kiss is my favorite thing she's done, and this is a good record, but I don't know if I like connected with it in the way that a lot of people did. DJ Shadow, In Tune and On Time. This is a live record by DJ Shadow. It is very good, and I do love DJ Shadows. This is probably one I would want to keep. Daniel Caesar, Freudian. This is an album that I've enjoyed, but I haven't like really just like fallen in love with the way that everyone else has. This might be one I have to kind of give a listen to and make a final decision, but ultimately I might end up keeping it. I think he has a really nice sound. Disco 4 by Health. I love Health. I think they have a really solid, heavy sound. This is a remix album that has a bunch of awesome people like 100 Gex, JPEG Mafia, just a bunch of really interesting people that they do kind of collabs with. And I don't know if this is a record that I would spin very frequently. I do love a lot of their full LPs, but the remix stuff, maybe I just bought this on an impulse, you know what I mean? Tim Heidecker's Fear of Death. This is Tim Heidecker from Tim and Eric, and he works with Wise Blood a lot on this album, which is cool. This is him doing kind of like a serious music album, not like a comedy thing. I bought it because I love Tim Heidecker, but I don't know if I would love the music enough to keep it in my collection as a record I want to spin, so who knows? Another Cookin' Soul, you know how I feel about that. This is another Cookin' Soul. I found this at Amoeba. This is him with, I think, a female MC. This one actually is earlier in his career before he kind of really hit his mark, so I'm not sure if this is as essential. I just got it because I saw Cookin' Soul and I got excited, but I have to probably double check if that's as good as his later output. Christian Klein, Real Ghosts. I don't know this one either. I bought it because I love the label, City Center Offices, And they do a lot of stuff with Ulrich Schnauz and really good kind of experimental and down-tempo and ambient stuff. You never get to see his stuff in America very frequently, or people from City Center offices in general. So I got it because it was inexpensive, but it might not be something that I love musically. Hidden Orchestra, another ambient group that I like but don't love. This is probably for the store. Rome by Armin Hammer, which is a hip-hop supergroup of sorts. This is a very good record, very good hip-hop record. Definitely want to keep this for sure. John Prine, everyone loves John Prine except me. Not that I don't love him, I just don't know his music very well. I've been meaning to listen to this to kind of see if it connects with me, but I have trouble with country-adjacent things sometimes, even though I know he's the best of the best. So I'm going to definitely give it a spin, and if not, probably for the store. The Weatherman by Gregory Alan Isakov. Really like Gregory Alan Isakov. I think he's great, so I'll probably keep that. Teebs, really, really good brain feeder, electronic down-tempo stuff. Huge fan of him, so keeping that. This is Trinidad James. I got it for $4 at Amoeba, and I think it's on yellow vinyl. Just a kind of a hip-hop record that's a little experimental. I don't think I need it. It's not a necessity for my collection. I just was shocked to see something kind of obscure like that for that cheap. Oh, this was another Amoeba find. This is a Earth Flying Hat Band, which is a half early Black Sabbath, half... so it's FHB and Earth. So Earth was Ozzy Osbourne and FHB was another group. And this is like pre-Black Sabbath stuff. I think it's a bootleg. I'm not sure, to be completely honest. But I don't know. I love Black Sabbath and Ozzy, as you guys know. But I don't know if I need that early material that much, personally. And we'll end this cube with Ghost of a Saber-Toothed Tiger acoustic session. This is John Lennon's son. And I forget the girl he works with. But it's kind of like bossa nova inspired pop music. Really good stuff. Definitely want to keep that because I'm a fan of that. So that's one cube, and there's so many more to do this with before the store opens. So like I said, leave a comment with your thoughts about culling the collection. I'm looking at it from a new lens as a store owner. So that's a kind of new way to wrap my brain around things. But these are the philosophies that I've held true since I started collecting, and they're what I kind of use to look back at when it comes to deciding, oh, I think it's time to, remove some stuff from the collection and add some new stuff. So share with me your thoughts on it. I'd love to get a little conversation going. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. More coming soon. Take it easy.